What's up, guys? It's your girl Twilight. I'm back today with another thought-provoking, empowering message. And today's topic is 3 easy ways to manipulate an empath. All right, let me just hop into the topic here. Now, that video clip you saw was from a YouTuber named Yellow Pain. Shout out to Yellow Pain for having the bravery to expose such a thing. Paradigm is shifting. People are becoming aware that this phenomenon actually is happening, where people are taking their own pain and utilizing it as a method to entrap, extract energy from, and use and abuse other people, their own pain. So what is interesting about this video is it just put it out there. So many times I've had to attempt to explain this phenomenon and expose and bring things to light that many did not want to be brought to light, but I do believe that people deserve choice. And what you do when you manipulate someone is you take their choices away from them. You exploit their inabilities to see their own value, and you take their choices away from them and you put it in your hands. And so ultimately it is a control thing, and done pathologically, it can become very abusive. So first, what is an empath? An empath is someone who is very sensitive to the energy of emotions. And emotions is energy in motion, meaning that these things are not tangible. So they can sense certain things about people in their emotional state without them necessarily having to speak on it. Now, as an empath, that is a gifting, but I believe it is no different from any other gifting. Some people are gifted in sports, some people are gifted in cooking, but when it comes to supernatural gifts or gifts that we can't necessarily tangibly quantify, people go ape shit about it. They're really weird about it, and they don't really get it. And so when they see that you are able to tap into that kind of gifting, they act really weird about it. I mean, like really weird, bro. And so people who are truly empathic know this to be true, and they have to protect their energy. But as an empath, when you can sense other people's emotions, that ultimately makes you, like the word empath suggests, very empathetic of it. Now, here is the interesting part about that video and what happens to most empaths. Most empaths get into situations with people who are highly skilled manipulators, and they listen to their pain story, their origin story, like they're fucking Wolverine or something. And they identify so heavily with the pain that the other person is feeling that they lose all sense of rationale. They become the burden bearer. They become the one who is consistently being abused in light of the narrative that was sold to them by the person that is actually intentionally manipulating him. And here is how you know it is a manipulation, and it is very simple. You don't have to complicate it. You don't even have to think about it. If they are apologetic and the behavior is the same, it is a manipulation, period. If they are apologetic and the behavior is the same, it is a manipulation, period. It does not matter if they're manipulating their damn selves or they're manipulating you. Somewhere along the line, the actions behind the behavior is not in motion. Okay? Now, one thing that an empath will get caught up in is taking the blame for the behavior of someone who has decided to be chaotic, destructive, and or cross your boundaries. And an empath will seriously blame themselves for the choices that this particular person will make. For example, they will say, well, if you were nicer and kinder to me, then I would have a better shot at being ABC. Well, if you would have done this, then I wouldn't have done that. The truth of the matter is that this particular situation or whatever trauma they experienced as a child should be handled by a professional. You are not a fucking professional. Get it out of your head. See, I'm going to come to you with some hard facts. Many people, I call it the Jesus Luther King programming. Jesus Luther King. This idea of turn the other cheek and always be nice is a program that I believe is very connected to the Piscean era, where we were, like I said in my last video, you want to check that out, how we are connected to and very much so going through the transition of coming from the Piscean era to the age of Aquarius. So what's happening is there is a shift in perspective, and there's also a shift in frequency. In the Piscean era, it was of highest spiritual order to be a savior, absorb other people's pain because you have this gifting. And I believe that this is your righteousness being, one, exploited, and your righteousness being positioned in the wrong place. You're dealing with a high level of self-righteousness that is misplaced. Everyone's on a journey, but you don't fucking respect their journey. You don't realize that sometimes you walking away is actually the best course of action for them so that they can learn a deeper lesson. Or if they choose not to learn that lesson, that is also a part of their journey. But the three ways you manipulate an empath is, one, as an empath, you don't trust your intuition. Two, you choose potential over patterns. And three, and more importantly, you don't know that you are worthy. This because we live in a world and a society that tells you that anything that is not tangible is subject to doubt. Okay, that is the reason why people don't know how to act like they got some damn sense of the natural gifts. They feel it's so otherworldly when really it's a part of the actual human ecosystem. But I'm not going to get into that today. But it's that very mindset of consistently needing tangibility, proof, and things that have no reasonable doubt. It's almost like being in an interrogation, being a part of the legal system. If you don't have the tangible evidence, if it is not strong enough, then the hell with it. And so a manipulator will play off of the fact that intuition isn't heavily given a lot of clout, if you will. And intuition is more connected to feminine energy. So as we know, living in a masculinized society, things that are more of the feminine are seen as frivolous. So you come to understand and look at your intuition as something that you can either take or leave, or it's not really that strong, or it doesn't really matter, or maybe if you did this differently or that differently, you could change things. But when your intuition is kicking in, one thing I've learned is not to ignore it. As you grow and you heal, you stop listening to your wounds. Because remember, your wounds can be equally as loud. But as you become more healed and more grounded, you began to see the validity and the power of your intuition. Your intuition is not lying to you. So that person probably is. Okay, your intuition is not lying to you. So learning to trust your intuition, especially if you have a strong, developed one, is going to be priceless in dealing with those who simply do not have the integrity, okay, to be honest, be truthful, and be forthright. You're going to have to learn to trust your intuition and not their fucking confessions. Okay, this ain't Usher confessions. Number 2, you believe in potential over patterns. Patterns are pretty in your face, but sometimes we can begin to idealize and identify with the narratives and the stories that we want to believe in our head. I'll take like a single woman, for example. A single woman over 30. Most manipulators assume that this woman is about to be desperate. And what he will do is he will give her the allure and the fantasy of getting everything she wanted. Many times, single women, they talk too damn much. I'm just going to be honest, but I'm going to move on. They begin to tell and divulge to men everything that they want, not knowing if this man is a valuable man who's going to take the information and insight and use it for good, or take the information and insight and use it against her. Most women don't think like that. They're in these connections and they're dating and they're just yapping away, not really taking the time to really evaluate who they're dealing with. They're more so concerned with, oh gosh, yes, I gotta get married. It's been so long. I need a man. And I am not saying anything is wrong with needing a man. Don't get me wrong. But I think that when you are in that mindset of, I have to hit these benchmarks by a certain age, and you don't hit those benchmarks by a certain age, there's a certain level of shame that comes along with that, no matter what women say. Women can say, oh no, I don't care, I don't need a man. Bullshit. I will admit that I definitely want a worthwhile, fervent partner in my life. So saying I don't need it is a lie. But what I don't need is somebody that's wasting my fucking time. You understand? So sometimes what we do is we look at the potential and we idealize the relationship and we look at what they can be instead of what is in front of our face and taking them for what they are. And what I often tell women is your nurturing energy is best used to develop children, or any man, or even men who are stand-up guys, who are solid, who are valuable men. Your energy is best used for children, for developing them. Developing a wounded adult is like basically taking someone who has repeated the third grade 15 times and attempting to help them work through first the shame of being so arrested in their development, then secondly the toxic ways that are going to come out. It's like trying to help a demented toddler. It is not the same as helping a child with a clean slate. Okay, it is equivalent, in my opinion, to helping a demented toddler. So we really have to start paying more attention to patterns over potential, because potential is best used for children. Now, being supportive with someone who is taking actionable items towards their intended goal is one thing. But sometimes you just got to be realistic. Maybe the person you're dealing with is just too far behind. And a lot of the things that they need to deal with, they need to be dealing with a therapist and sitting in the therapist chair instead of up in your damn face. You see what I'm saying? The third thing is you feel you're not worthy. Somewhere along the line, somebody communicated to you that something was so deeply flawed inside of you that it would be hard for anyone to love you. Has someone conveyed to you that you will be hard to love? Stay the fuck away from those people, okay? I don't give a shit where they land in your spectrum of your family or whatever the case may be. A lot of people can't love you unless you're in their box. And I seen this meme and it said a lot of people can't love you unless you operate inside their box. Don't be afraid to shove that box up their ass. And I'm saying this to you guys because empaths have just taken such a rollover and doormat kind of position in this spiritual plane. And right now, that's not what's needed. We need spiritual warriors, not fucking rollover and just allow people to utilize me as their I like to call it their Jesus Luther King muse. Okay, that's really what it boils down to. And see, I think that we just stay in this kind of nebulous feeling emotion space, and we need to understand the power of inertia. There's 7 main chakras for a reason. There's masculine energy for a reason. At some point, people have to take action and show and prove who they are. Okay? If you're not showing and proving who you are, if your actions and your words do not line up, then it's a fucking manipulation at the end of the day, bottom line. We don't need to keep trying to wonder what's happening. There are people that take value and there are people that add value. Make sure you position who you're dealing with accordingly and stop making excuses for people that they didn't ask you to. All they do is they see where your head and your heart is at and they just play to that. And you're not even paying attention because you're so caught up and gassed up in your own self-righteousness. And that is where we need to be grounded. That is where we need to pull into our root chakra, you see. So if someone has conveyed to you that you are unworthy of love at some point and you believed it, or there were things that affirmed in your life where people were rejecting you, then get the hell away from those people. Because if you are a quality person of character and you're centered and you're constantly improving and expanding, then you need to be around your own tribe. And your tribe might not be people that are your blood, your kin, or even people that you grew up with. There is no shame in expanding and moving forward. So with that being said, that is how you empaths get manipulated. That is how us empath, me as an empath, got manipulated in the past. I was too starry-eyed and too green. And at some point you have to get grounded and you have to realize that everyone has free will. And sometimes people choose the darker side of this existence because it is easier. You can't say as an empath choosing the higher road is the easiest path. So sometimes people just, as a happenstance, choose the easiest path. That does not mean that you need to allow them into your experience. So what you have to start doing is you have to start setting healthy boundaries, letting people be uncomfortable in light of your boundaries. And yes, it's going to feel unfair because some people who grew up without healthy self-esteem believe that you are responsible for their self-esteem and will lash out at you for not mirroring back to them the reality that they want to see. Okay? This is the behavior of codependency, where people don't understand the dividing lines between other people. They don't know where they end and you begin. And that is not really your burden to bear to educate them. It is up to them to decide what is going to be the best course of action for them. If they want to hang around flying monkeys and people that always agree with them, fuck them. Let them go. Seriously, let them go be there. If that's what they need, let them get what they need. You, on the other hand, if you are aware that that is unhealthy and you're setting healthy boundaries and they're reacting and they're having tantrums, continue to enforce them shits. And if they cross them again, make sure you have a contingency plan for stepping away. If you got a gray rock, if you got to go no contact, because what you must understand is, what are you sacrificing when you give up your boundaries? I have seen it with my own eyes. People will get sick physically from dealing with toxic people, not to mention the mental and the psychological abuse and the emotional distress you feel. But your body will literally get sick and start to break down from being in environments where people are negative and sucking out the energy. So I employ you that you must realize and respect other people's journey. If the words and the actions don't match up, it's a manipulation. Sure, they may have an acute problem and lots of trauma that they experienced as a child, but you are not a fucking professional. Come to terms with that. Now, if you got anything out of this video, guys, please go ahead and give it a big fat thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments. Go ahead and join the Patreon. As I've said before, we have videos, we have courses, we have an online community, we have books, we have everything that can help you on your journey. And I'm constantly pumping out new videos and things to help you to align to being an empowered empath. All right. Peace.